Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. According to Fox Business journalist Charles Gasparino, the SEC is today in 2025, under the Trump administration, debating whether XRP could be classified as a security or a commodity. I kid you not. How could this possibly be a real thing? Well, let me just tell you this at the outset. I'm highly skeptical of that being the case. I find that terribly impossible to believe. I just, and you'll see why too. Wait till we get into some of the specifics as to the rationale. I'm wondering who the heck his sources are. Because I'll tell you this, it sounds to me like whoever is his source, which he apparently believes is someone worth listening to, or sources, don't know what the hell they're talking about, as I will highlight. And look, I'm not an attorney. I just play one all up on the YouTubes, but apparently I know more than some of these individuals he's been talking to. Can you imagine the SEC today? There's so many reasons it makes no sense, and some of them are kind of funny. So let me just run through the arguments. And by the way, David Schwartz even chimed in on this. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Oh, and by the way, one of the things that extra makes this funny, and I'll get into why, is allegedly the SEC is debating XRP utility, and apparently they believe, according to this assertion, you'll see, that's a factor as to whether or not it would be a security or a commodity. I am not even kidding. This sounds like fake life. This sounds like the type of crap we had to deal with in 2020 through 2023, basically. All right, so it's the story is piggybacking off this post that's on your screen. I've covered this in two separate videos in great detail, so I'm going to be very brief here. If you want to pause and read the whole thing, you can. All you absolutely have to know is that Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett reported, and she does have, apparently, as she cites here, two well-placed sources, indicating that the SEC and Ripple case is in the process of wrapping up, and then she cites some of the complexities that are kind of holding it up. All right, but then we got Charles Gasparino piggybacking off that story here, and here's what he posted. Scoop. Off of Eleanor Terrett's scoop from yesterday on the Ripple SEC settlement negotiations, one issue that is being weighed by the commission is whether XRP continues to trade and have a utility that makes it more a commodity and not a security. Okay, already got to stop right there. That's not the Howey test. Here's the Howey test. I picked Investopedia to pull up the criteria, the factors of the Howey test, but you can find it all over the entire internet. You can find, and you'll find the same thing over and over and over again. Here are the four factors. And so if these four factors are satisfied, then whatever you're talking about is a securities transaction, but it must be all four prongs. It can't be one of them. Can't be two of them. It's got to be all four prongs, okay? Here are the four prongs. There must be an investment of money, okay? But that's not all. There also must be an expectation of profits. There also must be a common enterprise. There also must be, it also must be the case that success relies on the efforts of others. Specifically, so, and this is the reason that sometimes you'll hear people cite that there's three prongs to the Howey test. It's because they group these two, which are kind of similar, into one. But, and I can see why they do that, but this is it. These are the criteria. That's that. You know what you'll notice isn't in here? Utility of a cryptocurrency, because that doesn't make any damn sense up in this bitch. It just does not. Consider this. Anything can be the subject of a security. For instance, and John Deaton has highlighted all sorts of examples over the years, but let me give you a little refresher here. It has been the case that whiskey has been the subject of illegal securities transactions. That doesn't make whiskey itself a security. It wouldn't make sense to talk about the utility of whiskey, though I would argue it is high. The utility of whiskey is quite high. Big fan. But that wouldn't make any damn sense, all up in this bitch, to be arguing such a thing. You know what else has been a security? Well, the subject of an illegal securities transaction? Chinchillas, that's right. Animals have been the subject. Are we going to have a debate about the utility of chinchillas, which is arguably lower than whiskey, by the way? I'm just saying, like, is that what we're doing? Because we're damn idiots? That doesn't make any damn sense. That is not part of the Howey test. It is the prongs on your screen here. Why then would the SEC, now that Trump has declared the war on crypto is over and the SEC has been eliminating investigations, and the SEC has been wrapping up lawsuits instead of proceeding with them, why then would they be sitting there behind closed doors secretly and just for this one lawsuit arguing whether XRP is or is not a security, possibly a commodity? I cannot take this. Now, if you want to classify XRP as something to get it out of the realm of SEC, I can understand why people would want to do that. That's fine. I don't take any issue with that. But to argue back and forth, well, it might be the security though. It might be the security. You need the SEC needs a conversation about that, because I'll tell you this: if it were only their belief that XRP is a commodity, then you don't need input from them, because they're not the CFTC. They don't govern commodities, so we don't need to know what they think about it. We only need to know what they think if they think that XRP is a security. So none of this makes any damn sense. And you see why I'm so skeptical? I don't think that Charles Gasparino posted this with the intent to deceive at all. I'm saying, even if he trusts his sources, I don't know who they are. I don't trust his sources. Whoever they are, this is so far out there. It's so wacky, so wild. I don't trust them. I don't think this makes any damn bit of sense. I do not believe it. Here's the rest of what Charles said, though. I am told the Ethereum example is key. Ethereum was obviously issued as an ICO. Its characteristics on issuance was no different than XRP, both used to finance the build-out of a platform, yet Ripple got sued and Ethereum didn't because Ethereum had since morphed into a commodity. Okay, folks, it's not the case that something morphs from a security to a commodity or anything. Those are the types of conversations that were had several years ago before anybody actually knew, like widely, how securities law worked. That's the type of stuff that you might be wondering about, and I wondered about in the early days when we didn't have a lot of understanding from all of the XRP community member attorneys that later kind of spell it out to us. And John Deaton, there's obviously attorney Hogan, Bill Morgan, Fred Rispoli, James Murphy. All of these attorneys ended up making it clear what made the most sense along the way throughout that entire journey here. But this type of thinking here, this brings me back to like 2020 when nobody knew a damn thing. Like, how are we talking about this in 2025? It feels like a time warp. But here on X, it says that this was posted March 13th, 2025. So I believe that. But this is completely ridiculous. So let's dig into that last sentence there. The Ethereum example is key. Ethereum was obviously issued as an ICO. Okay, that part's correct. We'll agree with that. Ripple did not have an ICO with XRP. In fact, XRP was created before Ripple even existed, so there's that. But here he writes, both used to build out both used to finance the build out of a platform. Okay, that's not true. In fact, David Schwartz thankfully jumped in and corrected this. Here you can see David Schwartz wrote to him and said, Ethereum was privately sold by an issuer prior to any ledger or blockchain existing. XRP was not. Yep, that is exactly correct. XRP was created, and when it launched, it just worked. Now, you can always add bells and whistles. You can have, if you're part of the validator system, you can vote on amendments and so on and so forth. But it was out of the box, just ready and working. It just was. But was Ethereum? No. It was actually an idea. Again, Ethereum was sold. Those transactions took place before the Ethereum blockchain existed. So this is not true. These are not the same things. And either way, that still wouldn't change the underlying status of what the asset is. Go back to the Howey test. There isn't any individual actor on the planet that can forever make XRP or anything else just be a security. That is a nonsensical concept. It doesn't work. Just like if you go into the grocery store, despite XRP being at the heart of the Howey lawsuit, you know what we know? It was about orange grows. It's not the case that you go into a grocery store and you buy an orange and that's a security. You don't go buy orange juice and be like, well, I'm going to purchase this delicious orange security. No, that's a stupid thing to even utter. Like, that's dumb. That is not the case. That is not how this works. Really burns my biscuits, son. And then he wrote here, what is being discussed now is the comparison between the two cryptos. The SEC believes Ethereum trades as pure commodity. They are trying to determine if the commission can make that case with XRP. The SEC has no business determining if the CFTC is going to call it a commodity. That doesn't make any sense. So even if they're trying to do that, okay, but it sure as hell isn't a security. To drive that point home further, and this is why this is ridiculous. Do you remember this? Here's a headline from August 18, 2023. XRP ruling needs a appeals court review, SEC says. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission asked for permission on Friday to appeal a federal judge's ruling that XRP sales through exchanges didn't violate securities law, a day after the judge said the SEC could present its argument. The SEC petitioned Judge Annalisa Torres of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York to certify an interlocutory appeal, meaning an appeal before the overall case is concluded, a day after she allowed the request to be made. Okay, and so here's the actual document that's being referenced. I highlighted the relevant portion. This is the SEC itself saying that they're not going to appeal the decision that XRP itself is not a security. Here's how it reads. This is from the SEC. This is the SEC saying, yeah, we're going to appeal, but we're not appealing the legal status of XRP. It reads as follows. The SEC does not seek appellate review of any holding relating to the fact that the underlying assets here are nothing but computer code with no inherent value. Bam, there you go. That's the SEC acquiescing. They have given up. I celebrated with the rest of the community when we saw this news. I was like, damn, that's it. We won, XRP holders. All these people, these stupid little bitch asses talking about how, oh, you're not in the clear yet, XRP guys, because the SEC is going to sue you and there's going to be an appeal. No, there's an appeal, but it only has to do with Ripple's transactions of XRP. So it does not matter. None of this matters. How are we talking about this in 2025? It doesn't make sense. Why is the SEC at all talking about if XRP is a commodity? It doesn't compute. And again, they're giving up on everything. How would it make sense that this is the one thing that they're not giving up on, especially given all the other insider scoops here? It doesn't make sense, right? I'm not the only one thinking this, right? Isn't it everyone listening, I would assume? So here is a post from attorney Bill Morgan. He said, he's so right here. He reposted what Charles Gasparino wrote. And he said, no judge in the world that I am aware has found that a crypto itself is a security but can morph into a commodity. A judge, however, did find that XRP itself is not a security. The SEC knows about that finding and does not challenge it in the appeal. Therefore, your speculation that what is being discussed now is the comparison between the XRP and Ethereum and whether XRP can trade as a commodity because it morphed from a security to a commodity is highly unlikely to be correct. It is also completely inconsistent with the SEC's dropping of the other lawsuits, which inevitably must be premised on the grounds cryptos are not securities and not traded in secondary markets as securities. So folks, he is spot on right there. That's exactly my thinking. And so I don't know who the hell is whispering this crap into the ear of Charles Gasparino. It does not compute. None of this makes logical sense. So I don't doubt that somebody's telling him this stuff. I would love to know who the source is, though, because it's a garbage source. That's all that I'm saying here. That is it. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say, all right? That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Lampo.